Good evening, beautiful woman. Welcome to Isaiah's Inspiring Evenings, a podcast full of goddess stories, witches' secrets, colours of women, and fairy seasons to integrate serenity, abundance, joy, and magic into your life. This is episode 63, The TooMuch Woman Travels in Time and Space, episode 10, Lessons about Water, Knowing Myself, and Healing. I am Isaiah, Creatrix, magical pragmatic inspiration mentor, tech goddess teacher and traveling priestess, and this podcast aims to accompany you for peaceful and inspiring evenings. Isaiah's Inspiring Evenings is published very irregularly, and you will find more info and the references I am talking about on the website isaiahbell.com. Subscribe to the podcast on the platform of your choice to be informed of the publication of each new episode. If you like this podcast, you can support it by leaving stars, blue thumbs, and reviews on whatever platform you listen to me. The TooMuch Woman Travels in Time and Space, Episode 10. Lessons about Water, Knowing Myself, and Healing. Picture this. Mintaka, a planet far, far away, a long, long time ago. I am 120,000 years old. Let's fast forward a little bit though, like to last October, so you're not completely lost in the time-space continuum. I was lucky enough to be in a Shekinah session with Julie Dwessing, where Julie connects with the Shekinah, who is the feminine presence of the divine, and the energy of this transcendent presence descends upon us. During the session, he was in connection with the energy of my soul and any other beings, and she relayed what she was seeing, sensing, and hearing. I came into the session with a question around weight issues and skin disease, which is something I have been working around for a couple of months now, with various modals and practitioners, since I believe they are linked with self-love issues, abundance blocks, and a deep sadness that I'm just coming to get to know. In Julie's answers and perspectives, I found so much clarity, both on a spiritual plan and on a very practical, down-to-earth, joyful way. The way Julie communicates with the divine and transmits any information is crystal clear, spot on, and very caring. I loved it. Julie was also very encouraging towards me, repeatedly telling me that I was capable of getting my own answers and suggesting ways for me to connect with the divine. Thanks again so much, Julie. Very early in the conversation, we were pulled to discuss swimming, water, and mermaid consciousness. If you've been reading me or listening to me lately, you know that I've been visited by some galactic ancestors and relatives, mostly from the planet Mintaka, a deceased water-based planet where I have spent centuries in other lifetimes. You can find more about this on my articles on my blog. The mermaid energy has been around in this life, in my life, for as long as I can remember. At age 3, I learned to swim underwater, and my Greek grandmother used to say that she needed to remember the design of my bikini bottom, since that was the only part of me that was visible, the rest being underwater most of the time. Later on, at age 13, on a trip to the USA with my parents, we visited an amusement park where there was a mermaid show. Don't ask where, I have no clue. I have the pictures though, and I remember the magic when I watched them. I was mesmerized. I decided I wanted to become a professional mermaid when I grew up. And then, well, life. As a teenager, I used to train myself to stay underwater without breathing at the local swimming pool or in the Mediterranean when I was on vacation in Greece at my grandmother's. I spent so much time playing in the lukewarm water, pretending I was a mermaid, learning to somersault endlessly and creating my own version of synchronized swimming. And again, you can read more about that on my blog. I practiced underwater tumbles, somersaults, splits, and handstands. I was never interested in real synchronized swimming or anything like that. That was gymnastics, sports, I considered living underwater to be life. I knew I had lived a life as a mermaid. It felt normal, easy, and simple to move, breathe, and live underwater. I watched all the movies. I've read all the books. I wanted a tail. At that time, where I lived, there was no way to get a tail. Nowadays, you can find whole websites with tails to buy that you can actually swim in for less than 50 quid. I desired a mermaid doll. None existed. Yes, I am that old. So slowly, reality, real life took over. And I forgot my mermaid dreams. I still loved to swim and play in the sea and basically any water around. As a matter of fact, I still do today. Many of my best memories involve water or the sea. A few months back, I was reminded of a past life on the planet Mintaka during a session with Katische Haberfield, which you can find on her podcast, and I will put all the references in the description of this podcast for all the blog posts and podcasts that I reference to. So Mintaka was a water planet with mermaidy fish-like inhabitants only. The planet doesn't exist anymore, so many of us Mintakan starseeds feel an utter sense of homesickness. Like we long for home, but we know we can't ever go back. Mintaka was located in the Orion constellation. It was a water-based planet, and their waters were less dense than the ones we have on Earth, being airier in texture, thus more crystal clear, because the low density allows light to travel through it a lot easier. You could see for miles and miles underwater. Mintakans mostly lived underwater. They swam up for air from time to time, but they could go without it for up to 3 days. Mintakans were a galactic race who saw the light in everything and everyone. They were the first star beings to travel to Earth and are believed to be the original light workers. And Mintakans, just like the legendary mermaids, were amazing singers, their beautiful crystalline voices traveling far and wide both under and over water. You might know that about me or not, but singing has been a very important part of my life for as long as I can remember, both solo and in groups, choirs and bands. Another sign maybe of my Mintakan or mermaid origins, I guess. I have found some Mintakan music and songs on YouTube, and I'm really astounded to say that I understand the words at a deep level, and I do know how weird that sounds. Earlier this year, I gave the reins of my life to my 8-year-old for a while, and again, there's an article about that on my blog. And finally, decided to meet her needs and listen to her desires. Guess what? The one thing she really wanted was to play mermaid, to color mermaid drawings, and to own a mermaid Barbie doll. So I got her one. I have been spending time styling that Barbie's hair and feeling all the feelings of joy, sadness, and remembering my childhood and my other life. I also committed to making it a priority to swim and plunge my body in water as much as possible, and I have, for my highest good and my highest joy. I had another session with Katische, and I did meet my mother from Mintaka. More revelation, more water stories, more mermaids. Finally, I have vivid memories of my Atlantis past life, or maybe even past lives, when I was a priestess of water, LOL, and used both salted and clear water in rituals and ceremonies to purify, heal, and empower myself and others. My connection to the Atlantean Council of Light is still strong in this lifetime, and they help me along the way of my conscious evolution. Regarding that, I'm prepping a retreat by the ocean in France for my lovely customers to share my knowledge about the magic of the sea and accompany you in experiencing the healing and magic powers of water. I'm so excited I could sing. Again, if you want to know more about that, DM me to be on the wait list. So, you guessed it, I was a mermaid. I am a mermaid. I know it. I am not discovering anything. I am remembering everything. It has been so healing to remember, acknowledge, accept, and honor this heritage, this lineage. I have so much gratitude for the people on my path that helped me find that swimming and singing part of me again. And for myself, for listening. It's amazing how much easier it is to love myself when I remember who I am, when I get to meet and know all the beautiful aspects of myself. This is my path, and it does include holding a hand to help you walk on yours. I'm also reacquainting myself with the healing powers of water and the magic that can be accessed when connecting with it and merging with it. And again, I remember who I was, who I am. I can't wait to share the messages and healing with the world. Besides, you know the saying, if your thighs touch, you are closer to being a mermaid. Well, mine touch without a doubt. I would be so happy to hear you about all that. Thank you in advance for your comment. That's it for this episode. The next one is still in creation. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to support this podcast, share, subscribe, and leave stars, blue thumbs, and a review on whichever platform you listen to. If you want to be accompanied in the change processes that life offers you, if you want to participate in the awakening of feminine energy in the world, live your life as a goddess, know the secrets of witches, and apply the rituals of fairies in your daily life, contact me on my website, isayabel.com. You can also subscribe to my newsletter to be informed of all the news in the real and virtual world of Isayabel. You will, of course, find this podcast on all platforms, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc., but also on YouTube and on my site, isayabel.com, on the podcast page.